A single well-placed vending machine can generate $300 to $800 a month in revenue, at gross margins of 50 to 70%. These figures suggest a business model with almost no barriers to entry, no employees, no traditional rent, and a revenue stream that runs 24 hours a day. It presents as one of the few low-cost startups that actually works. But the data shows a strange inconsistency. Two identical machines carrying the same products at the same price tags can yield wildly different results. Moving a machine just 50 feet can create a 5 times difference in revenue. This suggests that vending functions primarily as a location arbitrage business, where the machine is simply a tool for capturing a micro-monopoly. Despite the attractive margins, 80% of solo operators who start with 1 or 2 machines fail within 18 months. They aren't just underperforming, they are shutting down and selling equipment for scrap. The version of vending sold in late-night ads is a caricature designed to sell hardware. The actual industry is a logistics operation disguised as a snack stand, where simple businesses with disciplined placement strategy consistently outperform complex operations in poor positions. Captive audiences are the engine of this business. Think of a laundromat at midnight, where customers are stuck waiting for cycles to finish with no easy way to leave. You see the same dynamic in a hospital waiting room at 2 in the morning, or on a factory floor during a night shift. These are environments where people are forced to wait and have no alternative food options. An isolated highway rest stop miles from the nearest gas station works the same way. The operator isn't competing on price or product variety. In these locations, the operator owns the only available option in a desert of choices. You aren't selling convenience, you are managing a small monopoly. Vending rewards obsessive location discipline. The most sophisticated machine in the world will lose money in a quiet lobby, while a basic unit in a high-traffic factory floor becomes a goldmine. Entry-level costs for a single smart machine range from $6,000 to $10,000 once you include placement fees and inventory. At this scale, you have a hobby with a P&L. If the machine fails, you lose $10,000. A painful loss, but one you can eventually recover from. A professional empire, the kind that generates 6 figures, requires 20 to 50 machines. For a 20-machine fleet, your hardware costs alone jump to $200,000. Beyond the machines, you must build a physical infrastructure. This starts with a dedicated delivery vehicle to service the route. You also require commercial warehouse space. Buying inventory one case at a time at retail prices destroys your margins. You must buy in bulk and have the square footage to store it. Then there is payroll. Hiring a route driver and an administrative assistant means you are paying out thousands of dollars before a single snack is sold. Scaling into an empire transforms a side hustle into a capital-intensive fleet management company. You are no longer managing boxes, you are managing a logistics chain. Properly launching this scale requires nearly $700,000. $200,000 goes to machines and the van. The remaining $500,000 serves as an operational buffer, necessary to survive the 8 to 12 months it takes to reach break-even. During that window, fixed costs do not pause. A typical fleet carries a $7,000 monthly warehouse lease and $20,000 in payroll. You are burning nearly $30,000 a month, regardless of how much the machines are earning. You also have to budget for the inevitable maintenance and hardware failures that occur during the first few months of deployment. There are logistical costs for truck repairs, fuel, and the risk of a high-traffic location canceling a placement agreement unexpectedly. Abandoning a single underperforming machine is easy, but carrying the fixed overhead of a warehouse and a driver's salary while 5 of your 20 machines are duds creates a massive drain on your cash reserves. The empire model compounds the potential upside, but it also increases the impossible downside risk of high fixed operational costs. To see why the 50 to 70% margin is a mirage, look at the deductions on a $1.50 snack. First, location commission takes up to 25%. Next, card processing fees take another 2 to 4%. Third is fuel and labor to physically restock the machine. Finally, subtract shrink and spoilage. Your 70% margin shrinks to a net profit of 15 to 35%. For a standard machine, that leaves a profit window of $40 to $600 a month. This variance shows that the business is actually real estate arbitrage. You are using the machine as an automated tool to collect rent on high-traffic square footage you don't own. Finding a location at the top of that profit range requires a micro-monopoly filter. A standard machine placed in a busy downtown office lobby often nets barely $100 a month. It fails because of competition. There is a Starbucks across the street, a deli next door, and a workforce that works from home half the week. Contrast that with an identical machine on a factory floor running a night shift. That unit can net $1,500 a month. It succeeds because it faces zero competition. It is the only option in the room for a captive audience. High-frequency captive traffic is the most reliable driver of profit. A regular customer buying a coffee every day provides more value to the fleet than a one-time visitor making a large purchase. Success is dictated by this equation: transaction frequency times location traffic times your commission split minus your route cost. Moving the box 50 feet into a room where the customer has no other choice is the single most important decision an operator makes. The vending machine itself is a commodity. You buy the same hardware as everyone else. It provides no competitive advantage. The real value lies in the efficiency of your logistics and your relationships with the facility managers who control the best locations. Vending rewards obsessive location discipline over hardware complexity. The goal isn't to have the newest machine, but the best positioned one. In Part 2, we will examine how professional operators engineer their fleets around this location math. We will break down the final take-home numbers for a mature fleet and look at the specific logistical failures that cause scaling operators to lose everything. Efficient operators treat a vending route as a geographic puzzle rather than a simple list of stops. This map compares an operation with 20 machines scattered widely across a metro area against one with exactly half as many units clustered tightly together. Watch the travel paths. Fuel, vehicle wear, and labor hours scale with the miles you drive, not the number of machines you own. When 10 machines sit within a 15-minute radius, the operator achieves a cost structure that a competitor driving an hour between stops cannot match. Density turns your time into a scalable resource. Finding those efficient clusters requires a rigid checklist. Professional operators run every prospective location through 5 strict filters before a machine ever leaves the warehouse: daily population, operating hours, the captivity of the audience, local competition, and the physical environment. The competition filter is often the most unforgiving. A snack cart, a convenience store, or even a free break room coffee maker within walking distance will immediately erode the captive audience demand required to make a machine profitable. A prospective location that fails 2 or more of those checks gets walked away from, full stop. The discipline to say no to available locations that miss the mark separates the empire builders from those with expensive hobbies. Once a location clears the checklist, operators secure the placement through a commission negotiation. While novices often accept any percentage the landlord asks for, experienced operators negotiate that figure down by proving they provide more reliable service, restocking on schedule, fixing jams immediately, and keeping the equipment clean. Facilities managers often trade a lower commission for a vendor who actually shows up. Modern telemetry systems allow operators to prove that reliability. Remote sensors report inventory levels back to an app, enabling priority routing to machines that are running low while bypassing units that are still half full. Along with cashless payment systems, this technology eliminates wasted trips and increases transaction volume. Security is engineered into the placement choice itself. A machine in a well-lit, high-traffic indoor environment like this hospital lobby polices itself through natural surveillance. These locations are inherently safer than isolated parking garages or outdoor corridors. Equipment choice must also match the location's demographics. A basic mechanical snack unit works for a warehouse break room, but a $9,000 smart machine belongs in a corporate office, where the higher transaction volume and tech-savvy audience will pay off the upgrade within a year. Building an empire requires managing a tight supply chain, covering inventory, routing, and cash reconciliation. The vending machine serves as the retail endpoint of that system. Mathematical errors regarding location selection account for the vast majority of the 80% failure rate. While theft and vandalism are real costs, they are manageable through insurance claims. Bad location math is a structural problem that usually ends the business before the owner realizes what happened. Success depends on identifying foot traffic with dwell time. People merely passing through a lobby rarely buy snacks. You need an audience of people who are waiting on a fixed break schedule or have no other dining options for at least 20 minutes. A location lacking dwell time generates as little as $50 a month in gross sales. Once the operator subtracts commissions, fuel, and their own labor, the net profit drops below zero. The machine becomes a financial drain rather than a revenue stream. Scaling to a fleet of 20 machines introduces significant fixed overhead. Rent for a warehouse space like this, along with software fees and driver payroll, must be covered by gross profit before the owner receives a paycheck. This overhead creates a high threshold. If fixed costs are $7,000 monthly and each machine nets $400, 17 average units are needed just to break even. Personal profit begins with the 18th machine. This invisible mathematics of scaling destroys operators who start a fleet based only on the economics of a single machine. The profit mirage is the gap between advertised 70% margins and the reality of unbudgeted expenses. Emergency service calls, rush-shipped replacement parts, and the cash flow lag between purchasing inventory and selling it through a machine can quietly starve a business of capital. Profit margins also face cost drift over time. Supplier prices creep up, and location commissions often rise once a landlord sees how much traffic a machine generates. Without constant pricing adjustments, an operator's margins can evaporate over an 18-month period. Shifting consumer behavior presents a further challenge. Customers are increasingly price-sensitive and often refuse to pay a premium markup for a bag of chips they can find cheaper at a nearby pharmacy. Surviving this shift requires pivoting towards specialty categories, like premium coffee, fresh food, or healthy snacks. These products carry high enough margins to absorb the loss of customers who are shopping purely on price. Operators who fail to manage their cash flow or adapt to changing demand are the ones who join the failure statistics, long before their machines are ever touched by a vandal. Deciding how to enter this market involves two distinct scenarios. Scenario 1 involves buying a single $5,000 machine, placing it in a decent location, and servicing it on weekends. This nets between $100 and $400 a month, a legitimate way to learn the business, but not a replacement for a career. Applying strict location discipline to that same machine changes the math. Placing hardware in a 24-hour manufacturing floor with zero competition creates a micro-monopoly that can clear $800 a month. Scenario 2 is the 20-machine empire. This requires over $200,000 in capital to fund the hardware, the technology layer, and the working capital cushion needed to reach a steady state. A well-run 20-machine fleet can generate up to $100,000 a year in owner income. At this scale, the machines themselves become sellable, appreciating business assets that provide consistent cash flow. The financial gap between these two scenarios is defined by route density and location discipline, rather than the quality of the hardware. The successful operator builds a fleet of automated real estate collectors. The box on the wall is simply the physical point of transaction for a much larger logistics system.